MSU TV is on the air, bringing you the best student-produced educational, entertaining, and informative programming. Broadcasting out of Breckenridge Hall on the campus of Morehead State University, MSU TV is signing on.
Hello, welcome back to yet another episode of MSU Sports Circle, the defining voice in all things sports. I'm your host, Justin Nidley, and joined with me as always are my colleagues Matt Johnson, Tyler Smith. Fellas, I think we just get right into it. You know, the College Bowl schedule just came out, and fellas, fill me in on some matchups you really want to see.
Well, three in particular. All three of them are BCSs. My first one, it's really exciting. Actually, one of the teams we could have argued could have made the national championship game, Oklahoma State versus Stanford. Andrew Luck, he's great season. He's up for the Heisman come this Saturday. Great matchup. I'm looking highly for that game. I just cannot wait. Second one, Sugar Bowl, Michigan versus VT. That's going to be a beautiful game. Michigan, first year back in the BCS, and I don't know how many years. Brad Hoke did a great job bringing the Wolverines back to the promised land. It's going to be a great matchup. But last but not least, going with the Rose Bowl, fellas, Wisconsin versus Oregon. Michael James, just a beast through that lane, running that ball. He scares me. He's had an outstanding season for that young man. With Wisconsin coming off a great game in the Big Ten championship against Michigan State, if they play to that level, this game possibly maybe be the best game out of all the bowls. I'm serious about this, fellas, but that's my top three.
So you see Matt's excitement, and I'm feeling it for him. Like, Tyler, what matchups are you really ready to see?
I have to say, I have to 100% agree with Matt. I really think that those bowl games that he touched on will be key. I think they'll be a lot of fun. They will be very exciting, a lot of high offense. But, Matt, I'm sorry, I got to tell you, you forgot about one game in particular, if not the most important game, my friend, the national championship game. Alabama versus LSU, Part 2. I think it could have a chance to be better than all the bowl games, not because it's a national championship game, but I really believe if these two teams play a higher level of offense with the same level of defense they had in the first meeting, I really think this game could offer everything that the fan wants and everything that the fan needs in college football. But like Matt said, some of the other bowl games I'm excited about, absolutely Oklahoma State, Stanford jumps out on the page. You've got Brandon Weeden taking on Andrew Luck, two potential NFL draft picks. It's going to be a very good matchup. It'll be interesting to see who gets the better of the other, Luck or Weeden. Then you go down to, like Matt said, Oregon, Wisconsin. I think you're absolutely right, my friend. I think that one could be one of the most exciting bowl games, and I'll tell you why. You have two premier backs going head-to-head. Monte Ball at Wisconsin broke a record for most touchdowns, and LaMichael James, who has been a beast and could be a steal in this year's draft. I agree with you, Matt. It's going to be a very exciting bowl season.
Well, I must say, I'm ready to watch these bowl games. I think the viewers are ready to watch these bowl games, but last but not least, let's talk about Heisman candidates. If y'all had to pick one right now, who?
This young man is playing in the national championship game, and he's a running back. Do we know who this guy is? Of course you know who he is. His name is Trent Richardson. Over 1,000-some yards, 20 touchdowns. This guy is just a beast. My personal opinion, I think he's better than the previous Heisman they had a couple years ago by the name of, what was it, Mark Ingram, I want to say? I really believe this guy is so explosive. He's going to be a steal in the draft this year. I really believe that, fellas. He's my Heisman. There's nobody else I'm even looking at right now.
All right. Tyler, thoughts?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with Matt. We're right on the same page here early on the show, and I'm liking it because Trent Richardson is a beast. He has top NFL speed, top NFL power. No disrespect to Andrew Luck and company, no disrespect to Robert Griffin III. What they've done at their respective schools, absolutely amazing. Two of the best quarterbacks this year in college football, hands down. However, at the end of the day, popularity, who do you know? Trent Richardson's winning the Heisman. He's got it all day long.
So y'all pretty much think it's a lock. Trent Richardson has this.
I believe so.
In the bank.
I believe so. But if he was not going to get it, This throw a name out there, I'm probably going to go with Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck. So we have
Luck.
Trent Richardson, followed by Andrew Luck.
I think so.
I'll go one better and say that,
Maybe someone
that Robert Griffin III has had a better season than Andrew Luck. I really believe that, rushing-wise and passing-wise. This man has done more, I think, at Baylor than Andrew Luck's done at Stanford this season.
I mean, some call him the future of quarterbacks.
I think they're going to take into consideration what each player's bowl's in, and I believe Andrew Luck is in a better bowl, so I think they're going to really take that into consideration. You know how favoritism plays a big part in that. Because I agree, Robert's season this year was just outstanding.
Okay, well, I definitely hear both of y'all, and we'll be right back after these commercial breaks with more MSU Sports Circle.
Hey, what you got there?
This is a list of school supplies that I need, and I can't find them.
Why don't we can find them?
Okay, great. The university books.
That's right, they got everything.
Wonder if no packages come in. Sweet, it has.
How can I help you today, sir?
Yeah, I got a package.
What's your dorm address?
811 Cardinal.
811 Cardinal. See your student ID, please. All right.
All right, fellas, it's time to take it from college to the pros. NFL. What are the chances of the Bengals winning a wild card spot after their loss to the Steelers? Tyler.
I actually think the Cincinnati Bengals have a very high chance to make the playoffs, and here's why. If you look at their schedule the rest of the season, they have the Houston Texans, who do have quarterback problems right now, and not quite the same team they've been all year. Then they take on a very low-performing St. Louis and Arizona team, both in the NFC West, not what you would call a challenge for the Bengals at this point in the season. And after that, you have Baltimore, which is not a lock to be a loss, but the way the season's been going, Baltimore's had a very good year. Much like Pittsburgh, I think they can beat the Bengals. However, with that said, that puts the Bengals, if you do the tally, they're 7-5 right now. If they beat Houston and take 2 away from Arizona and St. Louis, but then lose to Baltimore, they're still 10-6. That's a playoff team. That's a lock, in my opinion, for a wild card spot. But I think the scenario will all have to come down to what happens with some of the other teams, like the New York Jets, who are 7-5, Tennessee Titans, also 7-5, and then you have a mess in the AFC West with Oakland and Denver in a deadlock battle for that first division place for the playoff spot. They're both 7-5. So you have a lot of teams that are scrapping and fighting right now. So I hate to say it, but the Bengals are somewhat in limbo until they prove to me with that Houston game that they can win out for the rest of the season, or at least make a push, so to speak, for the playoffs. And if they're going to do that, Andy Dalton has to be that man. 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns. I think he can lead them to the promised land.
Bengals, wild card spot, yay or nay?
Say yes, sir. Coach Marvin Lewis gets them over the hump. We're like Tyler said, sitting at 7-5. If we get at least 3 more games, they will be a lock in the wild card. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you seem pretty optimistic. Let's take it AFC West. Broncos, Raiders.
I mean, like I said, that's a mess right now. It's tough because both of their schedules are almost identical at the end. Both have to play powerhouse teams. The Raiders having to play the Packers, the Denver Broncos having to play the New England Patriots. But if I had to choose a team right now that's hot and I think can stay hot and suffer a loss and still make the playoffs and clinch that division and put the other team in a wild card position, I really think it's the Denver Broncos, because you know what? Say what you will about Tim Tebow, he's a mechanical nightmare, folks, for the NFL. But at the end of the day, the guy does what? He wins ball games. And don't get it twisted. He's been good. The defense has been a little bit better. Minus the Minnesota game when they gave up 30-plus points, they were only averaging 17 points per game for 3 games in a row against quality teams. So with that said, I really think if the Denver Broncos can stay hot and Coach John Fox can stay on top of things, Denver comes out in the AFC West, they clinch a playoff spot.
Okay, Tyler said good quarterback, great defense. Sounds like a good team to me. Matt, do you disagree? I
agree with that. With Carson Palmer still out, I have to go with Denver Broncos. Have to.
Okay, what's going to be the determining factor?
I really think the determining factor is just the matter of Tim Tebow keeping his cool, not trying to do too much. And then for the Raiders, on the other hand, I really think that they have to find a way to win without Carson Palmer, have someone from the backup position step up, maybe rely on Darren McFadden a little more. The running back just had a pretty good season for Oakland.
If you take consideration, he's banged up right now too. So,
can he play through it? Can he play through it?
Me personally, I like what Michael Bush has been doing. I don't think they lose a step with Darren McFadden.
Don't change anything. There's no worries there.
If Carson Palmer was playing, I would take Oakland Raiders. Without him, you got to go.
You got to roll. Then you got to roll with Tebow and the Broncos.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, y'all keep it locked. We'll be right back with more sports discussion here at MSU Sports Circle.
For students living both on and off campus, come check out the new POD store, located in Alumni Tower. POD store is a great way for students on campus to go grocery shopping without leaving campus, or for students looking for a place to spend flex dollars on drinks, snacks, and supplies. Remember, if you're by Alumni Tower, visit the POD store to the right of the catwalk for products on demand when you want them.
Are you feeling helpless? Do you have a lack of motivation? Are you stressed out? We want to help you.
It's about that time. College basketball, regional breakdown. Let's get it. Tyler, you had UK. Matt, you had U of L. UK, hit me with it.
I got you, Justin. UK recently came away with a very close, a nail-biter finish, folks. 73-72 against UNC, a very good Tar Heel team. They came away with the win. They had good performances. I don't want to say great performances because they did play a very good UNC team. However, good performances from guys like Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, had 17 points, 11 rebounds, and then they also had a good performance from Terrence Jones with 14 points and Deron Lamb with 14 points. I think what you take away from this game, while UNC did make some mistakes, I think that UK came out and said, you know what, we're going to scrap, we're going to fight for this number one spot, and we're going to try and not necessarily make a statement. This wasn't a statement game for UK. However, I think it's a game where they say, you know what, we're here, see us, recognize us. We're going to come to play every night.
Okay. How'd the Cards do?
Like I said, right now, sitting at 7-0. Right now, I'm very pleased with what the Louisville Cardinals doing. Like I've been saying over and over for the past couple weeks, I'm not trying to take excuses, not trying to put them over here in that corner or whatever, but you have to keep putting in consideration they are banged up with injuries, fellas, and they're still finding ways to win. Friday night, take an instance, came off a huge win against Vanderbilt in overtime. This game was just, personal opinion, just awful on offense for you, Louisville. Just horrible. Couldn't hit a basket if somebody paid the ref. It was just awful. And for somehow, and I repeat, somehow they found a way to come out and win in overtime with the junior point guard Peyton Siva hitting a last-second layup. This team, I love what they're doing right now. It's a beautiful thing, and we're doing it with injuries. How impressive is that? So just take consideration. Once a couple key pieces come back, where this team sets at. Because I've been hearing a lot of writers trying to say Louisville should not be in the top 5. No, they should be in the top 5. Right now, are they going by their talent? No, we're going on potential. That being said, once the pieces come back, watch out for these Louisville Cardinals. Loving where we're going.
Okay, well, it seems we got a lot of good things going on in Kentucky. Let's bring it home a little bit. MSU men's and Eagles teams have both played recently. Fellas, weigh in on this.
Men are at 4 and 5, I want to say, and the women are at 2 and 6. The women have a big game tonight down in Xavier. The men are home. I want to say 2 games stretched home starting tomorrow. Right now, from both sides of the table, from the women and the men, I just don't know what's going on right now. Are we just starting off slow, or is it a down year? I don't want to write us off just yet, but I don't like what the teams are, either one of them, are looking like right now.
Okay, now I'm gonna piggyback off what Matt said. Is it a lack of talent, or are we just in a funk per se?
I don't want to say that it's a lack of talent because we have a lot of good starters returning. We have a good team here at Morehead State University. However, I think the problem that's hurt us the most is we really did lose leadership. We lost star capability. We lost scorers. We lost game changers in players like Kenneth Fareed and China Bozeman. China Bozeman, of course, for the women's team, Kenneth Faried for the men's team. When you lose dynamic players like that, you come back to the stadium. We all did this ourselves watching ball games here. When you go into Johnson Arena, you expect to see Kenneth Faried, you expect to see China Boseman. They're gone. I think the biggest problem is these teams have to start playing without them. I think they're still hoping, where is 10 and 10 a night from Kenneth Faried?
It's the thing. Men's, we still have experience. Mr. Lamont Austin, Mr. Ty Profit, Mr. Drew Kelly. The women, Miss Courtney Lumpkin, which has been, I hate to dog anybody, but has been a gold here this recently. Where is the problem? There is enough players, enough depth to get something rolling with both of these teams. I am sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. I tell you, the big problem, I think, for the men is rebounding and driving to the lane. We don't have a dominant force to drive to the lane, and we don't have anybody to clear out the lane and get the rebounds. For the women, simple in case, they also need somebody to rebound. Ashar Harris can't do it all by herself, but we are a guard-heavy team this year, I believe. I think that's fair to say. On the same hand, with that said, we're not making a high percentage of shots. And what I mean by that is we're either taking bad percentage shots, or when we take those high percentage shots, we're not making those high percentage shots. And that's killed us in a lot of games.
And that's what we seen in that past UAB game was just awful. Horrible performance by our Eagles.
It wasn't pretty. But, to stay on a positive note, though, I really think that Coach Tyndall and Coach Hodges are men of their position that where they're going to recap right now, maybe take Christmas break if they need to. They have a little bit of time on their hands. They're going to go back to the drawing board, and I really think that by the middle of the season, we're going to see a brand new MSU Eagles basketball program. I think things are on the rise. They both did come away with wins this past weekend. I think we can get back to where we need to be. But is this a rebuilding year? I don't know about you, Matt, but me personally, I say yes, rebuilding year.
Well, the Eagles are definitely down, but not out. We'll be back with more college basketball right after these commercial breaks. Welcome back. Now, fellas, it's time for the national basketball discussion. I'm going to go back. Kentucky basketball, Rupp Arena, UNC, UK. Definitely one of the best games this season, a lot have said. Definitely two of the most talented rosters in the NCAA. Fellas, let the people know what exactly went down.
Well, I think what went down was an absolutely great game. It was a very hard-fought game by both teams. I think it was a bit of a letdown, though, in the fact that both teams did not quite play their game at certain different times in the game, if that made sense. Like we talked about before the show started, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that UNC had an 8-point lead, almost a 9-point lead, going into double-digit leads, and then they started turning the ball over. They did un-UNC-like things. They had 13 turnovers in the game as opposed to UK's 9 turnovers. With that alone, it seems to me as though, I don't know if this is fair to say, I'll ask you guys, but I think that UNC almost in a way beat themselves. Not to discredit UK in any state of the fashion. They won. The scoreboard had them winning. They played a good game. Anthony Davis, by all means, had a beast block at the end of the game. That was the highlight moment of the game, in my opinion. I understand what Mr. Davis did. But with that said, UNC had players in double figures. People stepped up where they needed to be. I really think UNC might have tripped up themselves in this game. Is that fair to say?
Okay. Do you agree or disagree, Matt?
I just think for real it was a hard-nosed game. UNC was up, Kentucky up. It was just like Ali and Frazier, back and forth, hard-nosed basketball. And like you said, one of the best games we have seen so far this early season. And like I said, 73-72, UNC should not have their heads down. If I was Roy Williams, I'd walk out here and be like, yeah, this was a heartbreak hotel loss. But you know what? We're going to see one of these teams back in come March. And UK, they should be the same way. Because, like I said, it was was just I mean, words can't describe what I seen Saturday. I was very impressed because me personally, I thought UNC was going to have the upper hand and maybe beat them by 6 to maybe 8 points, which we failed to see. But I came out of the game realizing, my personal opinion, UNC has the better backcourt with Kendall Marshall and Dexter Strickland. But I had to go with Kentucky Wildcats with their front court, which is just absolutely just nasty right now. Terrence Jones, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Anthony Davis, just very explosive. These teams are just very good, and I look for them to be Final Four come April.
Now,
March.
one thing I made it a point to say, and I was on record saying this, in Rupp Arena, you are not going to walk into Rupp Arena. That's not just any arena. And just beat UK no matter what team you are, whether you're the LA Lakers or UNC Tar Heels. Did you see any of that this weekend? I mean, did playing in Rupp, do you think that had any kind of effect on both the Wildcats and the Tar Heels?
Oh, huge effect. You got to think Calipari's been there his third year and still hasn't lost. They probably want to try to keep that record somehow, which they are finding a way to do, and it's very impressive. It's hard to come in atmosphere, even at home, and still find a way to win this many consecutive games, which I'm very impressed with them.
Okay.
I absolutely agree with you. You know, like we've talked about before on this show, Rupp Arena is a monster, folks. This is Rupp Arena, Adolph Rupp Arena. This is UK's house, Wildcat country. You come into that atmosphere, you're not going to have a Hoosiers moment where you do the measurements and say this is the exact same. No. Toughest place to play in the nation, I think.
Okay. Well, it definitely was an exciting game. I think the viewers got their fill. I think the players learned a lot. We'll definitely see where both teams go. We'll be right back with more MSU Weekly Recap. The MSU Lady Eagles lost in the first round of Purdue in the NCAA tournament this past weekend. Now, what exactly went wrong?
I think for the Lady Eagles, one of the things that might have went wrong is, unfortunately, I think they were kind of a David team going up against Goliath, and unfortunately, they left the slingshot on the bus back home. It wasn't there. They weren't quite making the steps they needed to make at the right time. They made a couple of errors early and often, and to be honest, unfortunately, I think for them, it wasn't a matter of they weren't worthy to be there, they weren't a good enough team against Purdue. I really just think that they were outmatched. When you play a Big Ten team like Purdue, like we saw with Michigan when they came here, most of the Big Ten team's girls are 6'1" and above, and that's their average height. When you're out-heighted, when you're outsized, outmatched, outpowered by such a powerful Purdue team, I mean, they were ranked 5th nationally in this tournament. They were picked by the tournament committee to make the Final Four. It was just a mountain to climb for us, and I think, you know, we climbed it. We gave it a good try, but we couldn't quite make it to the top, unfortunately. But don't discredit anything that the MSU Eagles have done this year. They have had a fantastic season. If not, in my opinion, they might arguably have the best season this year as a whole for our entire athletic program, and I just want to give a big shout out to Coach Jamie Gordon and the entire volleyball team. They did a fantastic job, but what went wrong? I think a little bit of everything for the Eagles.
Okay. Now, what exactly happened, Matt, in your opinion?
I'm just going to piggyback off of Mr. Tyler Smith says, just overpowered. Like you said, we're going against a Big Ten school that has people 6 foot and higher, which is just scary, actually, to me. They should be playing basketball, too. Very athletic. And like I said, Jamie Gordon should not have his head down. Just, probably one of the best seasons we've had maybe in history. And like you said, for the athletics all in general at MSU this year, just go on with it. Take that one game and come on and get ready for next season.
So it sounds like the Lady Eagles were not gassed up by any means. They earned their spot in this tournament. They were just outplayed by a better team that day.
Team.
Where do we go from here?
From here, I think we actually go on the up, and not necessarily skyrocketing up, but I think that we maintain a level of a plateau, if you will, very flat surface, but we maintain that level of success in that only 2 of the girls on the roster, the ladies I should say, we are losing would be Emma Keogh and Liz Schuler. Now, with that said, we're going to return all of our other starters, plus more good recruits, and if it's one thing Jimmy Gordon has proved time and time again here at Morehead State, he is one heck of a recruiter, folks. Don't sleep on him. He brings in good character and good talent year in and year out. We have players returning like Ellie Robertson, a junior outside hitter. She'll be a senior. Very good leader, very strong. She can kill with the best of them. You have Leslie Shellhouse, a very good libero. She does a good job defensively. You have good freshmen that will be sophomores next year in players like Laura McDermott and Michaela Reese, up and coming. Also, Colby Cameron, filling in for people like Caitlin Clark, a junior who will also be a senior next year. So they have a very good nucleus to have a lot of success next year.
What does the future hold for the MSU Lady Eagles?
Good recruits coming back, great character, great coach. We'll be back OVC champions again, 2 years in a row. That's my prediction.
Okay, we say it a lot on the show, down but not out. One thing we here at MSU Sports Circle want to make a point to do is congratulate the MSU Lady Eagles. We're proud of you. The institution is proud of you, and you have nothing to hang your heads low about. You will return to greatness, according to my colleagues here, next season. Now, y'all keep it locked, and we'll be right back with some closing segments for here at more MSU Sports Circle.
When you got some homework and you need a place to go, when you're working on a project and your computer is slow, there's a little place on campus that I think that you should know about. The first story of the library is what I'm talking about. Walk past Java City and then you will see the new commons area is where you should be. They got computers and printers, couches, tables and more. It's the perfect place to go for study time galore.
Now that the NBA is back, what type of preseason would this be if there weren't some trade rumors? Now, how outrageous are these trade rumors, and how legitimate, are we going to see any of these major trades come true?
Well, I don't want to say that too many of them are outrageous. I think that sometimes when you're scanning articles on, ESPN.com, Yahoo Sports, so to speak, CBS, you might have an eye pop like, whoa, Chris Paul isn't talking with the Celtics? How does that work out? I thought he wanted to go with Melo and company in New York, the Big Apple. Why does he want to go to Boston all of a sudden? I think a lot of people, what I like to call the NBA trade rumor mill, a lot of things get put in, a lot of things go out. But at the end of the day, I think Chris Paul knows exactly where Chris Paul wants to be. In my opinion, I really think that Chris Paul is going to end up in New York with the Nets, and I think he's going to make true to his promise that he made at that wedding a long time ago to Carmelo to meet up with him and Amari and have another big three over in the East. I really do believe that. But to say that some of these claims are outrageous, I don't think they're outrageous. I just think that they are out there for what they are, to get your attention, to get you out of your seat and go, ooh, wait a minute, NBA's back. What's going on? I'm excited.
Okay, now with the newest rumor, Matt, I'm going to bring it to you. Dwight Howard, CP3, potentially going to the Lakers. Is this going to happen, or is this something that just needs to be thrown in the wastebasket?
I know Lakers have the money, one of the biggest, richest franchise out there under Jerry Buss, but to me, my personal opinion, it's just ridiculous. I mean, what are we really doing here? Two other big superstars going down with Kobe. Fellas, why do we want to go down there with Kobe? Let's be honest. How many more good years does Kobe Bryant have in this game? Do you look for this take his spot when you go down there and when he gets down, try to win the championship? I'm not buying this rumor.
I mean, also potentially, hypothetically, to even get these two down here, you would have to almost give away your whole team, giving away your young players who actually have come a long way in the last 2 seasons, and the chemistry you've developed all together.
That too. I just tell you one thing. If they got to get ready Gasol and Lamar Odom, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it, fellas. Why? This chemistry is everything. I don't care how talented your team is. If you don't have the chemistry, you're nothing. We seen that with Miami Heat when they first had their first struggles. It's just my personal opinion. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, I definitely hear y'all. But with this being said, I still say, and y'all can quote me, I definitely see a super team that's going to be formed, and I'll leave it at that.
Can we say where at?
Not sure. That's to be determined.
It's a big question mark.
That's to be determined. But I'm calling it. We will definitely see one. And again, thank y'all for watching MSU Sports Circle. I'm Justin, Matt, Tyler. We'll be back with another episode.